guys, welcome back to my channel. I am in a different location. I am not sitting at my makeup desk like normal. Today we are canning stew. I asked on Instagram a couple days ago asking what kind of content you guys enjoy seeing from me, and a lot of you, I got responses saying that you really enjoyed me sharing about my canning salsa on Instagram the other day, and so I thought, you know what? I have to can stew, so let me go ahead and film it for my YouTube channel. I have a lot of tips to share. I am no means an expert of canning. I get all of my instruction and knowledge from my mom or my mother-in-law. They are the ones that I look up to when it comes to canning, and so shout out to them because they are the ones that have inspired me. I usually can either with one of them, but I have started to do it on my own a little bit, and it's a little nerve-wracking, but I think I've got it, and so I'm going to share with you guys how I can stew. Alright, so I have pre-cut all of my things that I'm going to be putting in my jar for stew. First thing here is I have a big bag of pork. Now, when you think stew, a lot of times you're thinking beef stew, right? Beef is just too expensive, so we opt for pork, which at the end of the day, it tastes the same. You can't even tell that it's pork and not beef. It's so delicious. Then I have my onions here, which is a good thing that I cut them beforehand, because otherwise, if I had to cut them now, I'd ruin my makeup. So I have onions here. I have carrots. Now, I use baby carrots because it's just easier for me. I don't have to peel them, and then I just chop them up into little bite-sized pieces. But if you want to just get whole carrots and peel them yourself and then cut them, by all means, do that, whatever you want, but I just use baby carrots because it's easier. I have my potatoes here that I have washed, peeled, and cut, so I have that. My husband doesn't like celery in his stew, and so I don't put celery in our stew most of the time. Sometimes I will because I like it, but today we're going to do without celery. But we have plenty of veggies, and we have our meat for our stew. One of the tools that I love to use, because I'm able to do smaller batches that way and it's not so overwhelming, is this guy right here. This is the Presto Precise Digital Pressure Canner. Just like an Instant Pot, but it's built specifically for canning. I love this so much because it makes canning so easy. It is pricey, but just like any pressure cookers, when it comes to canning, they can be expensive. So it's definitely an investment, but I believe it's an investment worth it. I did not actually buy this. My mom first got one and she loved it, and so she bought one for my siblings and I to share. I'm the one that uses it all the time, the most, but they are still more than welcome to it because it is a mutual gift. I'm going to be using this instant pressure cooker today. I'm going to go with the instructions that they have for this specific pressure canner, but if you have one that's just for the stove or a different pressure canner, use the instructions, follow the instructions for that specific pressure canner. I don't know what they are, but I'm just going to go with the ones that I have it for the instructions for this pressure cooker. On meat, we are going to pressure can. So the instructions for the pressure canner is 3 quarts of water. So this is a quart jar, so I'm going to put 3 of them in here. All right, the next thing is to warm your jars. So you're going to take your jars and you're going to fill them halfway with water, and you're going to put them in the pressure canner. Make sure that you have clean jars too, by the way. Just forgot to almost mention that, so just wanted to mention that. Always start with clean jars, lids, and tops. Another thing really quick to mention is when you are using this pressure canner and you're using quart-sized jars, if you're using wide mouth jars, it only says to do about 4. I don't understand why it says 4 because I always manage to fit 5 in there, but for today's video we're just going to do 4 just because I have been having some jars lately not sealing, and so I'm wondering if that's because I'm putting too many jars in or what. If that's not the case, then you can do 5 jars. What I love about this pressure canner is that it literally tells you step by step of what to do. Obviously, always read the instructions first, but once you've gotten the hang of things, this is such an easy piece of equipment to work because it tells you what the next step is. So I put my jars in. I just turned this on, so it says pressure can. There's another light over here that says water bath canning. We're not doing water bath canning, we're doing pressure canning. So I'm gonna put this. For stew, it's gonna take about 90 minutes. So I'm going to turn the knob all the way to 90. And then once I get to 90, I'm gonna push the button again, and it says insert jars. I have already inserted my jars, so I'm gonna push the button again. Okay, now the jars are warming. You always want to keep the regulator off when it is doing this process. I'm going to take this and I'm going to close the clamp down. You don't have to do this, but it says in the instructions too. So I'm just going to do it because the instructions say to. All right, so the jars have finished warming up. So I'm going to just open this up. I'm going to set the lid over there, and then I'm just going to take, because the jars are warm, I mean, you can just lift them up like this. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. We don't need that fancy tool yet, but I'm actually going to save this warm water because we are going to need it to fill up the jars. So I'm just going to take the jars out and put the water into this measuring cup. All right, we're going to start with 2 first. It's really nice to have a tool like this, a little funnel that has a bigger opening so that when you fill up your jars, you make sure that everything goes into the jar and you're not like making a mess all over. So I'm going to start with my potatoes, and I'm just going to take a measuring cup and I'm just going to get about that much at first. We can always add more, but it's a little less than a cup of cut potatoes. I'm gonna add a little bit more there. Okay, next I'm gonna take my carrots here, and I'm actually going to, I usually just kind of eyeball it, but purpose of the video, I'm measuring it for you guys. So about half a cup of carrots here we're gonna put in there, and then we are going to take our stew. It's not stewed yet. We're gonna take our meat, and I have a little space here, so I'm gonna kind of shuffle things around. And I'm gonna take my meat here, I'm gonna open it up, and I'm going to literally take this and measure it. I'm going to get it pretty full because it is stew, and so what's the main part of the dish? The meat. So I'm going to kind of fill this a little bit, and we're going to start with that much meat. So, I'm just going to kind of shove it in there. Okay, you don't want to fill your jar too much because we have to add onions still, and we still have to fill it up with water. So I'm going to just take my hand and kind of push it down here, just kind of make more room as we go. Then I'm going to take my onions. I'm going to move my meat back here a little bit because, again, don't have a lot of space to work with. And then I'm just going to handful it here. We're not even going to put it in the measuring cup because I'm just going to use my hand to kind of eyeball it here. Okay, so that looks about right. So now what I'm going to do is you're going to take some beef bouillon. Now, I have 2 different kinds here. I have the butter than bouillon. This is like a paste kind of. And then I have the cubes. Now, I prefer when I'm canning to use powder bouillon, but I didn't have any of that. So we're going to do either one of these. So if you're going to go with cubes, you're going to use about 2 cubes per quart jar. If you're going to use something like this, you're going to do a little bit under a tablespoon. This also goes for if you're using like a powder bouillon. If using the cubes, 2 of them per quart jar. So I'm going to quickly open this up. I have to wash my hands really quick. Good thing I have a knife here with me. And I'm still weak. My hands are also slippery too, which is not helping. I'm so weak. I can't even open this. Wow. Okay. If I'm making you all nervous at home right now, I apologize. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to take 2 cubes and I'm going to unwrap them. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your water, and actually before I do that, I see that I still have a little space here. You're only going to fill to this top line. I still see that I still have a little bit of space here. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to add some more potatoes to here. Yeah, okay. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my warm water and I'm going to fill up my jar. Okay, I'm going to stop there because it's already filled to the top. And I don't have my fancy little air bubble tool, so I'm just going to take a knife and I'm literally going to poke down the sides, and this helps to get out any air bubbles. And literally all the water that I put in here came all the way to the bottom. So we're going to fill it up with more water now because all that water went to the bottom now. Means we have more room to fill up. So we will call that good as well. So there's one done. And now I got to do all the other ones. So now that we have all of our jars filled and ready to go, what I was taught to do, not a lot of people do it this way, but you want to make sure that you wash off the rims of your jars. A lot of people just take like a washcloth and wipe that off. I was taught to take vinegar, so I have vinegar in a little measuring cup like this, and to wash off your rims that way. So I'm just going to go around, wash off my rims around. Make sure we have clean jars to work with. Now, you can sterilize your lids in a pot of warm water, and you just let them sit in there, and then you can get this really cool magnet tool where it just lifts up the lids, and then you can put them right on here. My lids are brand new, first of all, so I just really quickly hand wash them in some water and a little bit of soap. So I'm literally just going to put these on. All right, so now that I have the lids on, I am going to now tighten the rings. Now, what my mom taught me is to not get them super, super tight, just tighten them just a little, just like one, so just turn them a little bit, finger tight. So just like that, if that makes any sense. So our jars are filled and ready to go. So now I'm going to place them. I'm going to turn my camera a little bit so you can see. So now I'm going to place them in my canner like this. You place the lid on the canner. Make sure that your regulator is not on your canner. I'm going to lock this. Now I'm going to push the button for the next step. All right, so now it is going to be heating, and then once it's done heating to get up to temperature, it will tell me to put up on the regulator, and I put the regulator on, and it will start its canning process, and then we'll come back when it's done. And the good thing about having a digital pressure canner like this is you can just leave it alone and it will beep when it's done, and it will cool off when it's done. Usually with other canners, like a stovetop canner, you have to time it and then come back when that timer goes off and turn it off and all that stuff. This is really cool because you can literally put your stuff in it and go and leave it alone, and it will do it. It will heat up, it will pressure can for its time, and then when it's done, it will cool down, and you can just leave it in there until you're ready to take it out, which is so awesome about these. So we will just let this heat up for a little bit, and we will come back to it when it's ready for the next step. Okay, so it's heated up. It's countdown from 10, and now it's ready for me to put the regulator on. So I'm going to take the regulator. Be careful, it could be hot. I usually just quickly put it on like that, and I'm fine. You want to make sure that it's on can, not vent. And then you're going to push this, and you're going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave this here for the rest of the night. I'm not going to touch it. When it's done the 90 minutes, it's going to cool itself off and turn itself off, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright, it is the next morning, and I'm just going to take these out. Oh, good that looks. Alright, so you should let your can sit for about 24 hours before you take the rings off and make sure that they're actually sealed. But yeah, here is my canned pork stew. Good morning, guys. It is about 3 days later since I originally put these in the canner. I was gonna do like some big ending where I opened up one of the cans and ate some soup to show you guys, you know, how it looks and how it tastes. That's just not gonna happen right now. But here are all the cans. I know I got stuff in the way, but here are all the cans that I canned for stew. I know it probably doesn't look very pretty because of all the meat and fat and stuff like that, but I promise you it's delicious. So, alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and if you want to be notified of future videos that I upload, hit the subscribe button and make sure you ring the notification bell so you will get notified of every video that I upload. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I enjoyed making this video because now I have some food on my shelves for my family. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.